Hi, first graders. Now, right now, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite authors. Now, remember that an author is someone that writes the words, and what's really special about this author from this book, his name is Bill Peet. Now, he is really cool because he's also the author and the illustrator. Now, we remember from our song in school, it goes, the author writes the words, the author writes the words, the illustrator draws the pictures, the author writes the words. He does both. He's the author and the illustrator. So he wrote the words in this book and he drew the pictures. He's amazing. When I was your age, my mom and my dad would read Bill Peet books to us all the time. This is a great one that I want to read to you. While you're listening, I want you to be thinking about, what is something that I was surprised about in the story? Something that was, I didn't know that was going to happen. Because when I'm done, you are going to have to draw a picture of something that surprised you in the book, and then you're going to record yourself and tell me all about it. Okay, this book is called Big Bad Bruce by Bill Peet. Big Bad Bruce. Evergreen Forest was a quiet, peaceful place until Bruce, a great, shaggy brute of a bear, came wandering up out of a canyon one day. Now, a bear of such size was enough to frighten anyone, and the smaller creatures who lived there kept a sharp eye, just in case he might give them trouble. As long as Bruce was busy looking around under boulders and rocks and logs, looking for his dinner of bugs and grubs, there was no need to worry. But when the big fellow was feeling curious and ready for fun, then it was time to beware of the bear. Beware means look out. What Bruce called fun was to scare everyone else. So sounds like Big Bad Bruce. He thinks it's fun to scare everybody. But do you think everybody else thinks it's fun? No, I don't think so. The most fun of all for Bruce was rock tumbling. There were lots of rocks in the forever green forest, great jumbles of them. With a swipe of a paw, the bear sent them tumbling down the steep slopes, 3 or 4 at a time. The tumbling rocks broke all the logs and flattened the bushes, leaving no place for the rabbits and the birds to hide. So they took off in a panic to go leaping and dodging and flying in every direction. Once he had all the other animals running away, Bruce was rolling on the ground, exploding in great, roaring, snorting fits of laughter. As long as the bear lived in a forever green forest, it would never be peaceful and quiet again. And for all anyone could see, he had come there to stay. He wasn't leaving. Then one afternoon, Bruce made a big mistake, a terrible blunder. He came across a huge boulder resting on the top of a hill, and he decided to give it a ride. With a mighty heave, he sent the boulder tumbling down a steep slope. Flumpity, flumpity, bumpity, wumpity, wump, smashing pine trees and aspens to splinters and leaving big holes in the ground as it went. In one last big bounce, it landed kerplump in a berry patch, just missing an old woman and her cat. It almost hit them, almost hit the old woman and her cat. It was Roxy, a crafty little witch who was out picking blueberries with her cat, Clinker. "Where did you come from?" she shrieked, giving the rock a big kick. "How did you get here? Who sent you down here?" Just then, a huge roar of ha 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 laughter echoed through the trees. And in a twinkle, Roxy saw the bear. "So that's who sent this rock down here," she said. And in a fury, she went storming up the slope to the bear. What do you think's gonna happen? "You big lummox!" she exploded. "You big bumbling brute! That rock could have squashed us to smithereens! And you think it's funny?" "Ha ha 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 ha!" laughed Bruce. He laughed. The bear had never seen anything so funny as this crazy little woman with flying hair everywhere. "Laugh while you can," warned the witch, "but just wait. I will have the last laugh, Mr. Bear. Oh, indeed I will." Then she took off like a shot to go streaking down the slope so fast that her cat could barely keep up. And when the witch reached her cabin at the edge of the forest, she had come up with a plan. "I will make a pie," she says. "A very, very special pie for old Mr. Bear." In a flicker of an eye, she made the pie crust. And in a trizzle and a trice, she whipped up a filling of blueberries and honey. "Now for the trickery," she muttered, flipping through her magical cookbook to one of her favorite recipes. Then, reading the directions carefully, Roxy began to measure. 1 drop of dwindling, 2 blurps of belittling, a smidgen of minikin, a half teaspoon of twerp, a shrift of shortening, and then 1 pinch of kaput should do it. Now, I don't know if you guys are like me, but she was saying some things that I didn't know what they were. I know what flour is and blueberries and sugar. Those things go in a pie. But she was saying things like minikin and twerp. Makes me wonder, what is she putting in this pie that I don't know what it is? Oh, I remember she's a witch, and witches have like some magic. So did she put some magic things in this pie? I wonder what she's going to do with the pie. What do you guys think she's going to do with the pie? Stop and think about it for a second. What do you think she's going to do with the pie? The picture might give us a little bit of clue. She makes the pie, and then she takes it somewhere. I wonder where she's taking it. As soon as the pie was baked, a golden brown and ready to serve, Roxy scurried out the door with it, back to the forest. Then, keeping an eye out for the bear, she crept along through the shadows as slinky as a fox. When she reached a small clearing near the spot where she had met the bear, there was no sign of him. The bear was not there. But she could hear him snorting and snooting around in the brush somewhere up the slope. Quickly, she picked out a pine stump, took off her apron, put it on the top, and put the pie right on the top. "The table's all set," she whispered. "Now, skit scat, kitty cat, let's get lost." And they ducked down behind the log and hid there, waiting for the Mr. Old Bear. They didn't have to wait for very long. Pretty soon, a whiffle of a breeze sent the sweet aroma of blueberries and honey drifting up to Bruce. He smelled the blueberries and the honey, and he wanted some. And he followed his nose straight to the stump. He snatched up the pie with his paws, and in one big slurp, it was gone. I'm just remembering that she put some things in that pie that we don't know what they are. She put blueberries, which we know, flour, those things. But then all those other weird ingredients, we don't know what they are. So Mr. Bear, we don't know what he ate. Ho, 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 cried Roxy, the old lady, popping up from behind the log. I tricked you, Mr. Bear. Ho, 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 I tricked you. Bruce did not like being surprised, and he let go with an angry ruff. Ruff yourself, Roxy said to him, and you don't scare me. Just watch out that you don't get pecked to bits by a bird or stomped by a rabbit. Snarf, snorted the grumpy bear, and he wheeled around and lumbered away. Bruce had not gone very far when he began to feel sleepy. So sleepy that he could hardly keep his eyes open. So he flopped down against a tree trunk to rest. And in the time it takes for one big yawn, he had fallen asleep. While the bear slept, he gradually began to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Más pequeño, más pequeño, más pequeño. While the bear slept, inch by inch, little by little, he dwindled away. He kept shrinking until he was now the size of a possum. And still he kept shrinking. When the spell, a spell, she's a witch. She must have put those ingredients she put in, must have been her spell. Was when the spell was finally done, the bear was so small, he was as small as a chipmunk. A chipmunk is like a small squirrel. That's like this big. He was like this big. Oh, look at that. You can tell. All these birds are regular size. But Bruce, he's tiny. The rabbits, they're regular size. But Bruce, he's tiny. Bruce was woken up by a sharp peck, 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 peck from the birds on his head. And with an angry growl that actually sounded like a squeak, he reared up on his legs, all ready to fight. But when he found himself nose to beak with a giant quail, Bruce backed off in amazement. Then, as the confused bear looked around, he was surprised by 3 more giant quail and a pair of huge rabbits. The rabbits and quail had recognized Bruce as they closed in to attack. They're going to attack him. They're chasing him. Now, why do you think they're chasing him? I'm remembering that he used to do things to them that was not very nice. And so I wonder why they're attacking. Maybe they want to get him back, which isn't a very nice thing to do. They shouldn't be doing that. Even if someone was mean to them, they shouldn't be trying to get them back. So they started to attack him, and Bruce turned quickly and started running through the bushes. But there was no chance of beating the rabbits and the quail. They were close on his heels, pecking and stomping the bear with a fury. Bruce did not try to fight back. He kept ducking and dodging back and forth as he made his way through the brambles, trying to find somewhere to hide. At last, he stumbled into a forest of cattails at the edge of a creek. And in a flying leap, he flung himself into the water, Kersploosh! And bobbed up well beyond reach of the rabbits and the quail. Then, kicking and thrashing with all 4 feet, Bruce headed for the other side. So this is where the rabbits and the quail are, and he started to swim to the other side. But about halfway across, a sudden swirl of the current sent him spinning around and upside down in the water. Bruce was about to be swept down the twisting creek and away forever when he grabbed onto a rock and managed to haul himself out of the water. Then the bruised and bedraggled bear sprawled out on his belly, choking and wheezing and snorting out bubbles until at last he was able to breathe. For a long time, he lay there staring into the water stream, trying to figure out what happened that made me so small. He wondered if it might have been something he ate. Suddenly, he remembered the blueberry pie and the little old lady who had warned him. Watch out that you don't get pecked by a quail or stomped on by a rabbit, is what she said. All at once, Bruce realized he had been tricked by the crafty old witch. He was shrunk by her magic spell. By this time, the sun had gone down and deep shadows had crept across the creek. A chilly breeze rippled the dark water, and the soggy wet bear shivered and shook from the cold and also from fright. Bruce knew that there were night hunters that would already be out. Can you see one up there in the tree? Bruce is really small, remember? But up here in the tree is a night hunter. Uh-oh. A chilly breeze rippled the dark water. Bruce knew that he had to be careful of the night hunters. So he sat in the dark, looking for signs of danger. He looked everywhere except for up. He only looked side to side. He did not look up. He should have looked up because he did not see the owl. The fuzzy little brown thing on the rock was a choice little tidbit for the owl, and he was just about to swoop down and get Bruce when, all of a sudden, a screechy voice split the air. "Mr. Bear! Mr. Bear!" With a terrified whoop, the owl flew away, leaving the bear to face a different kind of danger. In desperation, Bruce scrunched himself up into a ball, hoping that the witch would think he was part of the rock and not the bear. But there was no chance of tricking old Foxy Roxy. And holding her lantern out over the creek, she saw the bear. "Ho, ho!" she cackled. "There you are, Mr. Bear. No bigger than a minute. Quick, quick, Clinker, go fetch him," she said to her cat. "Go get him." Before the bear could blink an eye, the cat snatched him off the rock by the scruff of the neck and leaped lightly back to the land. "Good cat," cried Roxy. "Now home we go. But easy does it. This little bear has had a big day." As Bruce was carried through the dark forest, he did not try to get away. He was too tired, and he was much too scared. He was sure that the old witch had planned to fix him for good. If she could even just make him down a little bit smaller, she might even turn him into a fly or a flea, or maybe she was going to make him disappear altogether. But to the bear's surprise, the witch turned out to be a kind woman and as nice as could be, just as long as she kept her temper. Roxy loved flowers, she loved birds and animals, especially small animals. She loved small animals. And soon she grew to like the small bear. Oh, look, you can see Bruce the bear is eating out of the cat bowl. And then she grew very fond of him and she decided, I'm going to keep him just like that. I'm going to keep the bear just like that. Clinker the cat also took a liking to the bear, and they ate out of the very same bowl and slept in the same corner together under the kitchen stove. That's where they're sleeping. Little bears have short memories, and in a few days, Bruce forgot all about ever being a giant bear. For all he knew, Roxy's flower garden was a beautiful leafy forest with plenty of room to roam. Whenever the tiny bear was feeling frisky or ready for fun, he flipped pebbles around as if they were big rocks, just to scare the grasshoppers. From a bug's eye view, Bruce was a great, big, hairy, scary, horrible brute of a beast. Okay, so now it is your turn. I hope you liked the story. It's your turn, and you are going to draw a picture. Now, you can do it on Seesaw with the drawing tool, or you can draw a picture with your pencil or your crayons on a piece of paper. And you're going to share that picture with me on Seesaw, and you're going to tell me with the microphone, use the microphone, and tell me what part of the book surprised you that you didn't know that was going to happen. Have fun!